Welcome everyone. This is Lady G from Great Basin Alchemy, and today is the new moon in Sagittarius, and we're going to be focusing on what blessings and encouragement the universe has for us at this time. This is a really tumultuous time in the United States in particular, but I have a feeling that what's happening here is really having a big effect around the world. And it's really easy for us to fall into fear or despair or hopelessness. And if we do that, then the darkness wins. So I'm going to be focusing on what we can put our thoughts and our energy to in a positive way so that we can positively, empathically impact the world around us. So I do things a little bit differently when it comes to readings than traditional readers. I often use multiple decks, as you can see here, and I use the cards to guide my intuition. So I don't necessarily read the cards specifically as they're meant. If I'm not picking up an intuitive understanding as to what the card is trying to tell me, I will look at the book, or I will look up what it means as far as a tarot interpretation, like especially for this one or this one. But generally I use them to guide my intuition rather than sticking solely with what they are expected to mean. Secondly, it's important to me that you, as a participant, always check in with your own intuitive wisdom, because that is what is going to guide you as to what is pertinent for you. Because this is a mass reading for a large audience, not everything I say is going to be applicable to each person who participates in this reading in this sacred space, but some of it will, otherwise you wouldn't be watching it. So pay attention to your inner wisdom, your inner discernment, and the body sensations that you experience, because these are all ways that divinity and the sacred universe energies speaks to us. And it's a really unique and beautiful system of communication, and it's unique for each person. You know, there are some things that are constant for multiple people, but there are always going to be ways that the universe speaks to you, divinity speaks to you, that is unique to you and the communication between you two. So learning to understand that and cultivating that language is really, really important. So if something doesn't resonate with you, just feel free to let it go, let it flow past you to the person that it will resonate with. And if it does resonate with you, that's a perfect opportunity to express gratitude and connect with a larger energy that is participating in that specific idea along with you, because that's where you're going to feel your support, your encouragement, and where you will feel uplifted in this spiritual path during this time. Also, thirdly, the energy right now is super malleable, super malleable. Manifestations are happening very, very quickly. So what is seen right now is what the potentials are in this moment, the way things are right now. So some things that have already been decided, some things that have already been contracted are not necessarily going to change unless the people involved make some dramatic conscious changes of their own, which is always possible. But generally, the things that are determined, that have been chosen and decided, are going to happen at this point in time, because we're only looking in these readings for approximately 28 to 30 days, just a moon cycle from new moon to new moon. So they're gonna stay pretty accurate. However, there are some things that are not completely determined yet, and those things can change. So if you have a decision you haven't made yet, if you're still on the fence about something, or if there's something in the larger consciousness that hasn't been decided yet, that is still open to change. Now keep in mind that just because it hasn't been determined in this dimension doesn't mean that it hasn't been determined in a higher dimension. This dimension is a reflection of other dimensions. So just because it hasn't been decided here doesn't mean it hasn't been decided in a higher dimension that's ultimately going to be reflected into this one. So there are some little variances when it comes to readings. So keep all of those things in mind, the possibilities in mind. And this is why I go into the higher dimensions when we do this work, and see what is the strongest potential and the strongest potential for our greatest happiness, so that we have the opportunity to make changes or alterations to our path. Okay, so with that in mind, let's get started. And how I begin is by creating a safe and sacred space. Now that's done by calling in the sacred masculine. So we call in the sacred masculine to come in and create the boundaries of this sacred space for this space-time event of healing and connection. And we invite you to use any appropriate mandalas, any appropriate sacred geometric shapes to create this sacred space for this reading. And then we invite the sacred feminine to come fill this space with unconditional love, compassion, connection, appropriate creation. For this is the new moon, so we are focusing on creation and the highest potentials for the greater good of this planet and our greatest happiness. We also invite Rama Gaia to come in at this time as part of the sacred feminine energy. Then we invite any other beings of love and light who wish to participate in this sacred space to join us at this time. Now, it's time for us to connect in with our team and our group of beings. So I invite you to connect with your own healing source and your own spiritual power and wisdom that flows on the front of your spine in your divine line. You don't need to consciously know how to do this, just intend it, and it will happen. I am also modeling it to you energetically, so that when you give permission to your higher self, you will shift to match me. I will not do anything to you. I simply model the energy and invite you to choose to match me. I invite this shift to ripple into all dimensions and lifetimes where you express yourself, and I invite your body and teams to do the same, harmonizing and aligning together as you connect with your body, your teams, and your guides, as well as with the beings of love and light who are present with us in this moment. Now, we're also going to pull all of our energies into ourselves so that we are clean and clear as we go into this space. So I invite you at the level of your higher self to work with the energetic fields and the guides to locate all of your energy that you have placed or someone has taken that is no longer in your divine line that flows on the front of your spine. Gently lift it all up and off of everyone and everything and bring it all back to you at the level of your higher self, cleansed, cleared, and recalibrated to this present breath of now. Out of the future, out of the past, and into the now, in all dimensions and lifetimes where you express yourself. And then we invite you at the level of your higher self or your wiser self to work with the energetic fields and the guides, to locate all of the energies that you are feeling, holding, touching, carrying, you've taken, accepted, received, inherited, that doesn't belong to you. And gently lift it all up and off of you and send it all back to its right and perfect place, along with all relevant and appropriate information where you have the capacity to be, where it has the capacity to be received. We do these in all dimensions and lifetimes where we express ourselves. Same for your body, Deva, and your teams. And then we're going to connect with our energetic fields. So we ask you at the level of your higher self to work with your energetic fields and the guides to locate any fields, your electrical, magnetic system, your grounding cords, and your reference points that are not in your space. We gently lift them all up and off of you, off of everyone and everything, and bring them all back to you at the level of your higher self, cleansed, cleared, and recalibrated to this present breath of now. And we invite you at the level of your higher self to locate any energetic fields, any electromagnetic grids and grounding, anchoring systems that are on you that do not belong to you, to gently lift up and off of you and send them all back to their right and perfect place, along with all relevant and appropriate information where it has the capacity to be received. Do this in all dimensions and lifetimes where you express yourself. Same for your body, Deva, and your teams. And finally, because mass consciousness is so loud right now, we can be feeling empathically the anxiety and the stress of what is going on the planet. And so we're going to turn that down a little bit so that it allows us to hear our own inner light and our own inner wisdom and engage in the world from a place of compassionate action instead of panicked reaction. So I'm going to invite you at the level of your higher self to work with the energetic fields and the guides to locate all of your receiving mechanisms, all of your hearing mechanisms, and to cleanse, clear, and recalibrate them so that you receive only the highest frequencies of love, encouragement, support, compassion, wisdom, clarity, guidance, courage. And then we are going to invite you at the level of your higher self to align all of your hearing frequencies with your body, Deva, and your team and your guides so that you are moving in harmonious synchronization with each other. We're also going to turn down the volume of mass consciousness and turn up the sound of your inner light. Now, you don't need to turn mass consciousness completely off, because it's important to know what's going on around you. It's important to have that intuition. But you can turn it down to a 0.5 or a 1. I wouldn't go higher than a 3, because then the anxiety starts to kick in. So turn it down really low, but make sure that the predominant sound, the predominant source of information coming in is coming from the higher realms. And excuse me, I know the energy is working now because my voice is doing different things and I'm having a little bit of gassy burping. So energy moves through the body in different ways in each person. And so however you're feeling it, just ride it. Just ride it like a wave and just let it happen. Okay. So now that we've created this safe and sacred space, it is time to write out our intentions for this moon cycle. So I set intentions at the moon cycle so that they can grow with the moon, similar to planting seeds in the dark of the moon. The dark mystery of the dark moon represents the sacred feminine in her creative aspect. And this darkness is not a heavy darkness. It is really light. It's expansive. It can be moved. You can almost swim in it, but it has a charge to it. It has potentials. It has all the potentials available to you at this time. Think about being at a crossroads, and you can see all the different pathways that you could go down, and you can see where they all lead. Like you can see, if you go to the left path, you see all the branches off of that path and where they all lead to. And the same with the center path and the right path and any other paths that might be around you, behind you. You can see where they go. This is what this dark energy of the sacred feminine is all about. There's infinite possibilities. Now, say you're on a path that you just don't want to be on anymore, and you want to create an intention to change tracks, so to speak, go onto a different path. You want to achieve a goal that is not achievable on the path that you are on. You have to go to a different path. You can see that opportunity. You can see that option when you are in this dark space and you're looking around. You can see this option and you can choose it. Now, you have to understand that if that requires you to change paths in your current life, that's going to require a lot of change for you. And that's going to require a lot of courage. And it's definitely possible because I have done it. It just means that you're going to have a lot of compassion and you're going to need a lot of support. And it's definitely available to you. And if that's what you are choosing at this time, we honor you. We honor you deeply for this change that you are choosing to make, because it is so difficult. It is so hard to change off of what you have set in place already in order to achieve something else. But we honor you for doing that and for having that courage and that commitment and that determination to create something different in your life. So I'm going to honor that. Right now, feel that and feel into your heart to feel that honoring. You may feel some tears as you connect and you receive that in your soul and in your heart at this time. So come into this space, take a deep breath, deep into your body, And this is what I like to do when I write my intentions. I don't have fancy paper. One day I will get some sometime, but I just use this yellow paper. It's just a legal pad and a red pen. And this yellow paper represents the will of the third chakra, which is in your solar plexus, just below your rib cage, between your belly button and your rib cage. And this is where you hold power. This is where you hold strength. This is where you hold determination. It is also the mechanics of the body, the core of your body. So when this area is strong in your body, all of you is strong. So we're going to create our intentions by writing on yellow paper to activate that core of you, the core of your body, and the energetic core of your beingness in this planet at this time. And then I use a red pen to symbolize and activate the root chakra. Now this is the energetic wheel that is located in the coccyx area at the base of your spine in your hip region. And this is the chakra that is connected with safety and connected with bringing something into manifestation. So the root chakra is the lowest chakra, meaning having to do with this dimension, with physicality and with 3D. So when we're wanting to bring something into this dimension, this 3D dimension, I know we can go into, we're moving into 4D and 5D, okay, but we're also living in 3D. So we can work in 5D and 4D, but we're living in 3D. We have to pay the bills. We have to eat for sustenance. We have these necessities in order to live and survive in the 3D. And so that's where this comes into play, is the red activates bringing an idea, bringing in an intention through the willpower and the strength and the determination into the third dimension with the red pen. So at this point in time, go ahead and pause the video and take however much time you need to write down the intentions for this new moon that you want to create at this time. And depending on how big these intentions are, it might take a few moon cycles for it to manifest, but writing it down is so important because it's like placing an order with the universe. And then you can go back, and we will. At full moon, we come back and we look at the intentions that we have set for that moon cycle. And then we also sometimes go back several months and we look to see what other intentions are being manifested in this particular moon cycle. Now, we don't have that history. I don't have that history with you at this time, but as we go on, we will have that history and we'll be able to go back and see what we are creating now that that's coming into this third dimension that we set intentions for previously. So at this point, go ahead and take a moment to write down your intentions for this moon cycle. And it can be one intention, it can be 2 sides of this, it could be 5 pages. Don't limit yourself. Just feel, as you write them down, feel into what it will feel like when those desires, when those intentions manifest, what it will feel like as you write it down. That creates more energy into this intention setting so that the universe has a clearer understanding as to what you are trying to achieve. Because you may set the intention, for example, to live in a place that is supportive, that's fulfilling, that's safe, that is sustainable, that is easily affordable. But you may have in your mind what that needs to look like, or where it needs to be, or what has to be in place for you. And there are certain things, that might need to be in place, such as having a bathroom or a kitchen. But if you can feel into what it feels like when you actually have that intention manifested in this dimension, then the universe can say, okay, this is what this person really needs and is requesting and is setting the intention for. Let's move some things around and we can give this person this over here, which is going to be a whole lot more than what was requested. And that person doesn't even know to even ask for this. So if you can feel it and let go and not try to dictate the how, just let go and let the universe take your order, they're going to be bringing you what you need and more. So just trust that process. Okay, go ahead and pause at this time. And when you return, we are going to be pulling cards around the messages for the new moon at this time. Okay, welcome back. And now it's time to start our reading. And these are the different decks that I'm going to be using today for our reading for this new moon. I will write them down in the description box below as to what I used. And then I will also have a photo with the information on the Instagram account, which you can find at Great Basin Alchemy on Instagram. So today we're going to be doing a layout that is going to include these. So this is going to represent the theme for this moon cycle. And I already intuitively know what that is. So it'll be interesting to see what card comes up here so we can talk about that a little bit more in depth. This is a new deck to me, so I'm going to be working with this today for the first time, and I'm very excited because I love Ganesha and the remover of obstacles, and so I thought this was going to be the perfect deck to use for identifying what the challenge is for this theme, this moon cycle for us. And then I love this deck for talking with us about what is hidden, what are we not seeing. So there's a saying that if you can imagine it, you can create it, which is true. And it's a very powerful tool, our imagination, for creating the things that we want in our lives. But there's a problem with that. Well, I don't want to say problem. There is the flip side to that is if you can't imagine it, you can't create it. So if you don't know to ask something for something, if you don't know that something is possible, then it's not possible to create it either. And so we're going to use this to help us identify those things that maybe we've overlooked, maybe we haven't thought about, or those things that are not part of our awareness at this time. And this deck I absolutely love. I'm a lover of art as well as music and the finer arts. And I love that this deck is Gilded. It's by Botticelli, which is one of my favorite artists. And I love that there's a tarot deck based on Botticelli's artistry. And so this deck then is going to represent the wisdom from the Earth Council. And the Earth Council is the beings of light that are here to assist us through this ascension at this time. as we are moving into a compassionate space as opposed to a patriarchal, hierarchical space. Now, this particular deck, I absolutely love this deck. I think this was one of the first decks I ever bought. And Archangel Michael it's so appropriate that he's using a sword. He just cuts through the shit. Kind of like the swords in the tarot deck. He really just cuts through the shit. And he's a really strong and powerful being, energy. And he really represents the sacred masculine in its highest form, in a loving, strong, and tender way. So the sacred masculine is a force, but it's also an idea that exists in every human being, and is not just in the universe, and is not just in divinity. It's everywhere. The sacred masculine force is going out. It's fire. It's doing. It's action. And so Archangel Michael really represents that well for me. And so this deck is going to represent the sacred masculine, or the action that we will be taking at this time. Or that the universe will be taking at this time, or perhaps collaboratively. This deck is going to represent the sacred feminine, which is all about the beingness. It's about the tenderness, the lovingness, the flow, the inward experience of simply being and allowing and receiving. And so we're going to be asking the sacred feminine for wisdom with using this deck. And then here we're going to be asking Rama Gaia for her wisdom for what we can do to assist her, because a lot of this is really ethereal. This is for our souls, and this is for our bodies here on this planet, because we're two souls working in tandem within a body in this dimension. And so our body may have a slightly different goal or purpose for being here than our soul does, but they're harmonious. So we need to look at the planetary needs as well as our soul ethereal needs. And then here is Louise Hay's Power Thought cards. Now this box is really falling apart because clearly I've used it a lot. And I love these as mantras, as little reminders and affirmations for focusing on the positive, because as Mike Dooley says, thoughts become things. So we really want to focus our thoughts on what we are creating, and not the despair and the frustration around the things that are dissolving. They're going to take a while to dissolve, but it's happening faster than one might expect. Most days. There's definitely moments of frustration that it's not happening faster. So focus on this. When you have those moments of frustration, or you have those moments of despair, come back to this power thought. Enlightenment is not a life where nothing happens that is distressing. Enlightenment is no different. Before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. Life doesn't necessarily change in the fundamentals. What changes is how you create the life around you through your internal work, and how you respond to it through your internal work, and the tools that you acquire to bring yourself back into balance when something throws you off a little bit. And everybody gets thrown off. Everybody does. So don't think that there's something wrong with you because you're having a difficult time, or something is hard for you, or something is distressing for you. Life here is hard right now, and it's okay to feel those things. In fact, it's important to feel those emotions and not just dismiss that and think there's something wrong with me because I'm not joyful all the time. No. Feel those, and when you're finished feeling through it and riding the wave of the emotions around those difficult things, then find the gratitude. and that will help lift you up. There's always something that you can be grateful for, and that will gradually lift you up out of that feeling of despair, as will these power thought cards. So with that, let's get started. So this first one is the theme. Let's make sure I don't do upside down cards or reversals. I could, but I get distracted by that. So it's easier for me to just receive the information. And like I said, I don't really read the cards according to or explicitly according to their original meanings. I use the cards to clarify my intuition. So at this point in time, what is the theme? What can you tell us about the theme for this new moon in Sagittarius 2019? Beings of love and light. Okay, here we go. So here is our theme. Okay. Actually, let's do this, so it'll be easier for you to see the cards. Okay, and for the challenge, Ganesha, what is the challenge that we are going to be facing? What is the challenge that we are going to be facing during this new moon, this moon cycle? It's through Sagittarius in 2019. What is it? Okay. Okay. And for what is hidden, I love this deck because it has an angel on one side and then it has the corresponding stones on the other side. So it makes it really easy to read. So let's see here. What is hidden at this time for this moon cycle? What is hidden? What is hidden from us? Oh, okay. It's this card. Okay, the Angel of Good Fortune, Adventuring. Okay, green adventuring. All right. And what is the wisdom from the Earth Council? The wisdom from the Earth Council. Beings of love and light, Earth Council. What message do you have for us today for this moon cycle in Sagittarius 2019? Here we go. Okay. Eight of Cups. Okay. Sacred Masculine. What is the action and what is the message from the Sacred Masculine through Archangel Michael? For this moon cycle in Sagittarius 2019. That's interesting. You wouldn't think to focus on your feelings as an action for masculine. You know, that's a really feminine card, which is really, it's really interesting to me. So I'm going to ask a little bit about what the masculine component is of this as we do this reading. Okay. Sacred Feminine. Here we go. Aha. Look at that. That's so funny. I was thinking of this card as I was talking about the crossroads and the Sacred Feminine and choosing which path to take and being able to see down the road to all the branches. I was thinking about this card. That's so funny that it came up. Okay. And then Rama Gaia. Now this deck is really rich with symbolism. I could do an entire reading, and I have done at equinoxes an entire reading with just this deck. It's very rich information, and I don't even pretend to understand everything that it has to offer at this point. Which I enjoy, because that means that I will be working with this deck for quite some time. Always learning. Okay, Rama Gaia, here we go. So, I grew up in East Africa, lived there for 12 years. I don't remember seeing women dressed this way. That doesn't mean that they aren't dressed this way in some other part of the continent, just not where I lived. But I remember the dance. I remember the dance. I remember the feeling, and I remember the drum, the sound and the feel of the drums, and the complicated rhythms, and the fire, that hearth fire. This is really speaking to me right now. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting really drawn into this. So Africa is such, the continent is just such a powerful continent energetically. You feel life there in such primal, deep ways. I don't know that primal is the right word. Maybe it is. I often call Africa the heartbeat of the planet, because you know you're alive, because you know you're only a hairbreadth away from death. It's an amazing feeling. So I'm feeling the wisdom also of indigenous peoples and indigenous practices. And this is what I'm familiar with. You know, I didn't live in the US until I was 18. So this is, when I think of indigenous people, this is what I'm familiar with and what speaks to my soul. Okay, so this is our mantra. So I'm hearing a request to draw 2 or 3 cards. 3 cards. Okay, so we'll draw 3, and one of them might resonate with you. It seems like there are different things happening. And I'm also getting that maybe doing a reading for your particular star sign, or your particular star sign, what the moon, the moon as it travels, as we travel through this particular house and this particular sign for you, what that means. So I will look into doing a couple different readings here. Let's see if I can make space here. Let's just scoot this over a little bit so we have room for all three cards. Okay, one more. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, these are definitely connected. And here's the challenge. So this was the theme that I was picking up earlier. So let's break this down. So the theme for this month, for this moon cycle, is around connection here, with like-minded people, and here we're looking at the feeling of tribes, the feeling of belonging, the feeling of knowing your place and your purpose, of making a difference, and of being seen, accepted, and belonging. And it's definitely connected here with this. And what this also can mean is, when we're talking about politics and the way things are going on this planet, how this plays out is a feeling of us versus them. So this is a complicated matter, because it's important to feel like you belong somewhere, but never at the expense of excluding other people, with one caveat. The only time that I exclude other people is when they continue to disrespect my boundaries and who I am as a person. When it is more important to them to what's the word I want? To impose themselves and their values on me, instead of accepting me for who I am and working collaboratively or existing collaboratively and harmoniously. Those people I exclude. So we have a challenge. So we're looking at us versus them potentially in the flip, right? So we have the opportunity to be inclusive, to create a space of warmth and gathering for not only like-minded people, but for people who are willing to learn and join us. And then we're also looking at the flip. The negative flip of this is us versus them. Now this comes out in all kinds of different ways. This comes out as racial differences. This comes out as political differences between party perspectives and values. It also comes out in terms of one country against another country through political boundaries that have been drawn that are so, for the most part, just they need to be reevaluated. Because so many of those political boundaries for countries are just not applicable, especially in the continent of Africa. It's just ridiculous. So creating this idea of patriotism to a country, as opposed to a patriotism to the idea of thought and inclusivity, and that we all have an effect on one another, that what happens in Syria affects my life here. Just as a fundamental basis, what happens in Syria, if there are refugees, now where are the refugees going to go? And so it's going to impact aid, it's going to impact government funding, it's going to impact all sorts of different things that now that will affect me, because if the government decides to divide up the budget to include more aid for refugees, then that might impact the budget in other areas. Now, let's not get into partisanship here and that refugees are the evil. They're not. Refugees are people who are running away from trauma and are looking for a better life. They're looking for a way to stay safe and stay alive. And if you've never experienced what that feels like, thank God. Express gratitude for that. But don't criticize them. Don't make them into the evil villains, because they're not. I've seen it. I didn't live here for 12 years without knowing and seeing what that's like. So they're not the evil people, but that's the flip side of this, of us versus them. This idea that people who don't look like us are the enemy, or people who don't have citizenship in this country are the enemy. That's the flip side of this, the us versus them. So we need to focus on the compassionate side, the belonging side, the welcoming side, the inclusivity, the seeing, and to understand that there are 144 sides to the truth. And that brings us to this. Because the real theme is truth and openness and honesty. And that's the challenge, is what is truth? Right now, there is a lot of propaganda, and we are going to need to up our discernment in order to be able to perceive what truth is at this time. Because the flip side of this is going to tell us all kinds of things that are untrue. And if we stay in our fear, we're going to believe that flip side, because it feeds into that fear that we have going on. We have to step out of the fear, and then we can start to see more clearly and discern what is true and what isn't true. Now, the fastest way to flip out of fear and anxiety is to count. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just count until the anxiety starts to dissipate, and keep going and keep going and keep going, because anxiety is a primal thing. It has nothing to do with the brain. So when you activate the brain, then the anxiety calms down. Also, you can take a really deep breath and then let it out slowly. If you like to sing, I don't care if you can sing in tune, sing. And just sing and make the sound last as long as possible. That's another really fast way of letting go of anxiety and clearing it out of your system, so that you don't fall into this trap of us versus them and believing that propaganda. So this is going to be key for this next moon cycle, particularly in the US. Okay, so here, what is hidden? So, do you wish for more luck? Be assured that you have all the luck you need. It's almost as if you have a 4-leaf clover in your pocket. Focus on your vast abundance and you will attract more. You will have good luck and great adventures when you travel. The angel of good fortune. So here's a gratitude prayer. I am so incredibly lucky. I have many blessings in my life. Abundance and prosperity are constantly flowing in my life, and I am grateful for these gifts. Safe, adventurous travel filled with cosmic coincidence is a certainty. Now, this is interesting that it's talking about travel, because Sagittarius is the sign of travel. And we're also going into the holiday season for those who celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. And then for those who celebrate Hanukkah and other celebrations of light like Kwanzaa, so we're going into the Festival of Lights season, and which would also be the winter solstice, celebrating the sacred feminine, and any other practices that people have at this time. So when we have these celebrations, it usually includes travel with family, to spend time together. And so now we're looking at another situation of abundance. So we're going to pause right here and do a couple protocols to address this. So I invite you at the level of your higher self to work with the energetic fields and the guides to locate the energetic quality of discernment, truth, and abundance, and hold them in that divine line, river of life, in the front of your spine. I'm modeling it to you right now. As it's flowing in there, hold that quality, hold that energy within you. And we invite your body, David, to do the same, and your teams to do the same, modeling it to you, surrounding you with this energy, so that you hold a coherent field. There it goes. And now that we hold it here, the inner world is reflected into the outer world. So imagine that you are a lighthouse and you're spinning. And this light, this energy that you're holding of discernment, truth, and abundance is shining out in all directions, 360 degrees. Just let it spin around into your outer world. And then watch to see how that shifts your outer world as you move through your life this next moon cycle. Come back and do that protocol at any point in time when you feel the need to do so. Okay. Now, the Earth Council has brought up the Eight of Cups, and what I'm seeing is it's time to do some research, to do some learning. Because not everything, that's what it is. Not everything that we're being told is true. There is a source of abundance that we don't know about, not just within ourselves, but in the world. There is enough for everyone. But we're being told something different, especially the flip side here. We're being told something different. So do your research. And that doesn't have to be a lot. There are some people that I follow on Twitter who are very wise. They are incredible researchers, and they're very credible. And that's going to be the important thing, is make sure that what you study and what you learn comes from credible sources. That is vitally, vitally important. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So focus on what is credible and use your discernment. Use your discernment to help you identify what is more credible than another. Also, what somebody's qualifications are. Do they list their qualifications? Do they cite their sources? Or are they feeding into fear? Are they seeking to provide information, or are they feeding into fear? Research. Okay, that's what this is about. Honor and trust your feelings. It's talking about the discernment here. So this isn't necessarily an action card as far as going out and doing something, but it is going out and doing research. It's related to doing research, and trust your feelings, trust your intuition, listen to your body sensations, pay attention to that, because the body sensations are going to help you understand whether something that you are reading or information that you've come across is true and credible or not. For some generations, this is easier than others. And I'm not going to get into why that is at this point. But practice this, because we're at this crossroads. This is a time for us to choose what we want to create in our lives. And this discernment and research and abundance will all play a key role in what we create at this time. Because this energy is so malleable, it can be shifted and changed so easily and so quickly at this point in time, that what we think, what we do, what we speak has such a powerful effect on the way that this planet goes. So what we hold within ourselves is going to have a faster manifestation in our outer world, because this energy is supporting this now. It's supporting this. It's not supporting the flip side of this, the us versus them. It's supporting this. So any tiny little effort that we make, it doesn't have to be much, is going to have a huge impact, because the algorithms have shifted. Okay, and Mama Gaia is saying celebrate. So do something to move the energy through the body. That's what this is about, is dance. Do something to move this energy through the body, particularly when you feel frustrated or you feel the energy is particularly heavy and you need to clear all of that off. Go through and do these protocols of clearing your energy fields by sending things back to where they belong, pulling your energy back to yourself, and then helping your body process the energy by moving through dance, through exercise, through walking, some kind of movement. Help your body process this energy at this time through movement. Okay, and now here are the 3 cards that are going to be pertinent for this moon cycle as far as a mantra goes, or an affirmation. And this one is really speaking to me right now. The past is over. So this is done. The flip side of this is done. The dark side is done. But they're fighting a good fight, people. They're fighting a good fight. They're also huddling around with like-minded people and coming up with plans every single day, multiple times a day. So the dark is not going to go down quietly. It makes me think of that poem, "Do not go gently into that good night." That's what they're doing. They're not going gently. They're not going quietly. It's the last gasp, but it's a pretty flammable one. But we can hold on to this. The past is over. It's not going to repeat. This is a new day, one that I have never lived before. I stay in the now and enjoy each and every moment. And that's where the power is in the now, in this present breath of now. If you pull all your energy into this present breath of now, you now have all of the power available to you in this moment to shift and change things. Instead of putting it in the past, which causes depression, or putting it in the future, which causes anxiety, bring it now. Stay in the now, because that's where the magic happens. Okay, another one is, I love my body. Now, what I'm getting on this is that during these shifts, our bodies are really struggling. Our bodies are struggling to process this shift, because it's the 3rd dimension. Our bodies are 3rd dimension, and it takes a long time for things to shift through in this energy that's so dense. It's so dense. And so our bodies are really struggling. And so our bodies are collecting toxins emotionally and physically and spiritually and energetically. And they're also trying to hold energy. Being like an anchor for positive energy. And so there might be several people watching this who, like me, have put on a lot of weight recently. And so we might be thinking, because of society, that there's something wrong with us, and we're feeling shame around our bodies because of that weight gain. So I create peacefulness in my mind, and my body reflects this peacefulness as perfect health. Focus on perfect health. Focus on being at peace with the universe and the work that you are doing for the universe, and focus on the perfect health, and your body will respond. And finally, I claim my own power, and I lovingly create my own reality. And this has to do with writing our intentions on the yellow paper with the red pen, claiming my own power, which is the third chakra, the power chakra, the yellow, and I lovingly create my own reality. Creation has to do with the new moon, and bringing it into the reality, into this third dimension, is the root chakra. So I ask for more understanding so that I may knowingly and lovingly shape my world and my experiences. And so hopefully this reading has been a little bit of that more understanding for you at this time, so that you can make the shifts and the changes that you need to do in order to create the life of your dreams. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this reading. And here we go. I'm going to wrap us up in sheets of rainbow light, gently sealing in these vibrations to whatever degree is appropriate for our spiritual, evolutionary state. We update all reference points, all ways of being, perceiving, and being perceived in this world at this time. We are in deep gratitude to you for your courage to shift, grow, and evolve, and be of service on this planet at this time. For as you shift, grow, and evolve, you shift humanity and this planet. Let it be so, and so it is. Thank you so very much for joining me today. It is an honor to work with you and to share this space with you. I enjoy this work very, very much. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you and working with you in the future as we travel through this time together. Like I said, I think I'm going to look into making a few more videos around how this new moon will affect you according to the houses in your natal astrology chart, and what planets, and then the planets within that house in your natal astrology chart. So if you have that written out already, if you know your natal chart really well, great. If not, on those videos, I will put a link as to where you can find your free natal astrology chart. So I think I'm going to be doing that. And then I will also be doing one at the full moon in approximately 2 weeks. If you have found this process helpful, or you have questions, please let me know in the comment section below. And thank you for honoring this sacred space with kindness and compassion as you interact with me and with others. Wishing you many, many blessings, and I will see you next time. Ciao.